Today is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025, and I'm Newton to represent stories we're following this afternoon. Former House Speaker Councillor Funati Kofa proposes 25 million United States dollars for vulnerable Liberian social safety net fund, demands cost in benefits, foreign travels reduction, and limited vehicle purchases for officials of government. About 140 government officials remain not compliant with asset declarations. Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission Executive Director Councillor Zantrazo says the act is deliberate and undermines good governance and transparency. Former President George Weah demonstrates good health and fitness in viral gym exercise and video, rejects supporters of ruling Unity Party speculations regarding their health status. Away from Liberia, partyers were forced to jump from carriages in a train crash that killed 15 people in eastern Ethiopia, a local official has told the BBC. A drone attack has hit an area near the international airport in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, a day before it was set to resume domestic flights for the first time since the war broke out in 2023. Is Plus the News Bulletin. Our international developments are all packaged. We are taking a very short break to be right back. At this juncture, we cross over to Stephen Compton with the news bulletin.
Former House Speaker Councillor Funati Kofa has announced that he is preparing to present a communication to plenary of the House of Representatives this Thursday, which will call for the establishment of a US 25 million social safety net fund aimed at assisting vulnerable Liberians in paying school fees and rent. Kofa, in a statement issued on his official Facebook page Tuesday, outlined pressing economic hardship faced by Liberians, adding that in the face of hardship, government is on an obligation to urgently intervene. The Grand Crew County District 2 lawmaker referenced a social support program in the United States as food stamped as example of how governments can provide relief to struggling citizens. Providing recommendation for financing of the proposed program, Kofa suggested reallocating resources by cutting benefits, reducing government officials' foreign travels. He called for limited vehicle purchase for government officials, redirecting funds from the Liberia Petroleum Refinery Company and borrowing from the National Social Security and Welfare Corporation. Councillor Kofa further stressed the urgency of action, urging that citizens are restless and crying for relief. The former speaker's proposal is an indicator of growing public demand for government's intervention to ease financial burden amidst the current economic challenges. The Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission says about 140 officials have failed to declare their assets despite several calls made by the commission. LACC chairperson, Councillor Alexandra Zold, on Tuesday told reporters during a press briefing that 140 officials have deliberately refused to make their assets known. She described the non-compliance as a serious embarrassment for the smooth operations of the LACC, vowing to publish the names of the non-compliant officials. Councillor Zold had ever warned against an act of non-compliance of us declaration, adding that all those who have not complied with the asset declaration will face the full weight of the law. The LACC boss also called on officials of government who have doubted about their position being part of the asset declaration to visit the LACC website for verification. Former President George Weah has issued multiple responses debunking speculations about his health status. Earlier on Tuesday, Weah wrote, "I wake up and fix my own breakfast. You wait on others to serve you." A statement in reaction to misinformation being spread by members and supporters of the ruling Unity Party regarding the former president's health status. Photos of the former Liberian leader also went viral on social media on Tuesday, where she wore a t-shirt with inscription, "They in position, the vex opposition, the vex." Many persons, particularly supporters of Weah, believed the inscription on the former president's t-shirt directly described the attitude of members and officials of the ruling Unity Party towards President Weah. Recently, several social media posts have been made by the supporters and officials of the governing Unity Party claiming that Weah is ill, prompting a quick response from the former Liberian leader. In Weah's first response shared via his verified website titled Update on Monday to speculations about his health, he noted, "You guys can say it all you want to say it about me, but be reminded that I do not use makeup to hide my face. I am a natural man." The former Liberian president, in a broader response and displayed of fitness, was saying in a post on Tuesday by his special aide, Sekou Galasco Dameru, carrying out his regular gym exercise, indicating disapproval of claim about his health status. Chief Justice Yamin Wese has released his legal assignments for the November 10 of court for Sacred Court's judges. Justice Wese's legal duty affected criminal codes B, C, E, and D, as well as the 5th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th, and 15th judicial sacred courts in the country. Judge Mentat Jabata Sharif leaves criminal code D for criminal code B, while Judge Wise goes to the opposite. Judge Goldad Elliott surfaces at criminal code E, Atlas, and Judge Nessie Salmon leaves the 10th Judicial Circuit for the 15th Judicial Circuit in River G County, while Judge P. Swald summoned justification at the 10th Judicial Circuit in Lofa County. Judge George Smith goes to the 12th Judicial Circuit in Grand Crew County, while Judge Osman Fiakat, Blamo Dixon, Roosevelt Wady, among others, were retained at the various courts by the priest of the High Court. Our judicial correspondent said that Chief Justice Wase, the shakeup is consistent with Chapter 3, Section 3.9 of the Judiciary Law, which states for every quarter session, the Chief Justice shall rotate sacred courts judges. At the same time, all sacred courts are expected to resume legal business on the second morning of November for the November 10 consistent with 3 Section 3.8 of the Judiciary Law of Liberia. President Joseph Boakai recent veto of 11 local government bills has generated mixed view among Liberians. Others believe the move by the president will deny local government of certain constitutional rights and obligation, while others think the decision is in the right direction. However, amidst these different views,
InfoQuest Liberia has lauded President Joseph Boakai for what it termed as a courageous and principled decision to veto 11 controversial local government bills. The House of Representatives recently passed 9 bills calling for the establishment of 9 new townships in Nimba County and 2 new districts in Nimba and Lofa counties. In an interview with King's FM Tuesday, InfoQuest Liberia's executive director, Matthew Yenid, said the president's action demonstrates a steadfast commitment to upholding the rule of law, administrative integrity, and the spirit of the Local Government Act of 2018. According to him, the decision not only reflects legal about a clear understanding that political expediency must not override national development priorities. The civil society organization's chief executive officer at the same time issued a 3 point appeal to the national legislature, including pursuing new administrative corrections until all boundary harmonization and mapping processes are completed in line with the LGA and its implementation framework. He emphasized that Union's decentralization is not about multiplying administrative units, but about enhancing governance, improving service delivery, and empowering local communities. Still with more developments, a presidential aspirant in the 2025 general elections in the Federation of Liberian Youth has called for an immediate suspension of the current process, describing it as flawed. Without all constitutional regulations are corrected in flight decision scheduled later this month. Samuel Bato is demanding a full publication of the updated membership roster and clear communication of delegate eligibility consistent with Article 6 and 7 of FLA's Constitution. Once that he called on constitutional irregularity corrected in flight election scheduled for later this month. It also addressed a press conference in Pittsburgh on Tuesday, requesting an independent review of the electoral framework by the Ministry of Youth and Sports to restore confidence since Vlad currently has no ball. The Vlad presidential aspirant is also requesting the commitment for all stakeholders to protect the neutrality and independence of Vlad from political interference. He noted that out of these, his team has written a firm communication to the Ministry of Youth and Sports for its intervention in order to avoid confusion in the pending flood General Assembly and of the United Nations 80th anniversary, UN resident coordinator in Liberia, Madam Christian Omotonin, reaffirmed the United Nations' continued commitment to supporting Liberia's development priorities. The UN resident coordinator highlighted both notable progress and ongoing challenges in Liberia's journey towards achieving their sustainable development goals. She informed reporters amid a press briefing on Tuesday about notable achievement in reducing under 5 increasing access to clear water and expanding school feeding programs, terming Liberia's SDG index score as moderate but with marked progress. She at the same time acknowledged persistent development gaps, including poverty reduction, gender equality, infrastructure development, and climate resilience. Reflecting on the ongoing cooperation between the United Nations and the government of Liberia, she noted that the current cooperation framework centered around the 4 key pillars: human development and essential governance, services sustainable economic development, peace and security, as well as good governance. She further emphasized the importance of shifting a more inclusive and digital responsive bilateral system. And Speaker of the House of Representatives, Richard Cohn, has held the launch of a collaboration between the National Legislature and the General Auditing Commission, describing it as a major step towards institutional transparency and enhance public financial accountability in Liberia. Delivering a special remark during the formal engagement ceremony, Speaker Kuhn welcomed Auditor General and senior GAC officials, what he described as the People's House, emphasizing that the legislation is being repositioned to better serve the Liberian public. According to him, the partnership holds a milestone in the country's public financial governance history, noting that similar intervention had long been discussed and anticipated. Speaker Cohn also reiterated the legislature's commitment to openness and accountability, revealing that internal systems are being strengthened to ensure compliance with international framework law. He also noted that the reform include the establishment of an internal audit secretariat and the rollout of an automated financial management system. Also speaking during the formal engagement with members of the House of Representatives, Commissioner Gus Jackson said the audit reflects GAC's constitutional mandate to ensure that all public funds, whether generated domestically or received from internal partners, are properly accounted for. The news bulletin is back to you, Newton, for the news continuation.
Stephen, content of the news bulletin. News bulletin is a regular program on King's News Bro. What if you just joined us? A reminder you listening to King's News Bro, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories we follow in this afternoon. Former House Speaker Councillor Fonati Kofa proposes 25 million United States dollars for vulnerable Liberian social safety net fund. Demands cut in benefits, foreign travels, reduction in limited vehicle purchases for officials of government. About 140 government officials remain non-compliant with asset declarations. Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission Executive Director Councillor Alexandra Zoe says the act is deliberate and undermines good governance and transparency. Former President George Weah demonstrates good health fitness in viral gym exercising video, rejects supporters of ruling Unity Party speculations regarding the health status. Away from Liberia, passengers were forced to jump from carriages in a train crash that killed 15 people in eastern Ethiopia, a local official has told the BBC. Still on the foreign developments, a drone attack has hit an area near the international airport in Sudan's capital Khartoum, a day before it was set to resume domestic flights for the first time since the war broke out in 2023. These are stories we're following here this afternoon, but we are taking a very short break. We'll be right back. We'll come back and bring you the voices of the news. On our first development here this afternoon, the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission says about 140 officials have failed to declare their assets despite several calls by the LACC. LACC chairperson, Councillor Alessandra Zoe, on Tuesday told reporters during Mika press briefing that 140 officials have thus deliberately refused to make their assets known. She described the non-compliance posture as a serious embarrassment for the smooth operations of the LACC, vowing to publish the names of non-compliant officials.
So for non-compliance, we identify a total of 140 officials. And I would like to say here, in this 140 officials, I need you to pay attention to the number because this is something I've been reporting for the past 2 months. We have some officials who are in Monrovia and just refuse to comply. But we will, by December, we will put the final listing for 2025 or let the public know who are these non-compliant officials. So if you are a non-compliant official, if you know you are occupying government position, including board members, any position that is cleared by www.lacc.gov.lr, go to the place that says publication, download our regulation and read, and make sure when you fall in that position, please come and declare your asset. So we have been also talking about verification process. We can safely conclude that we are drafting our final report. This exercise has been ongoing for a while now, and the reason is because we've been collaborating with other institutions. So we've been collaborating with the LRA, we've been collaborating with Sandra, we've been collaborating with the National Business Registry, and we all know getting information, getting documents, all of these, all of institution is a bit difficult because we do a lot of manual paperwork. So to go into the archive, pull up document, it takes a while. But we will be coming out with our final report. We'll be coming out with a lot of reports for 2025 in the last quarter. So this closes the issue about asset declaration, except maybe I will take specific questions later on.
She's the executive director of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, Alessandra Zode, speaking. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Richard Nangbekon, has hailed the launch of a collaboration between the National Legislature and the General Auditing Commission, describing it as a major step toward institutional transparency and enhanced public financial accountability in Liberia. Delivering special remarks during the formal engagement ceremony, Speaker Kon welcomed Auditor General and senior GSA officials to what he described as the People's House, emphasizing that the legislature is being positioned to better serve the Liberian public. According to him, the partnership posts a milestone in the country's public financial governance history, noting that similar interventions had long been discussed and anticipated. Speaker Kun reiterated the legislature's commitment to openness and accountability, revealing that internal systems are being strengthened to ensure compliance with national financial laws. He noted that these reforms include the establishment of an internal audit secretariat and all rolled out of an automated financial management system.
This is the people's house, and we are preparing the people's house for the people's comfort. And to return the people's house to the people, it is true transparency. Kindly join me as I extend a warm welcome to the Auditor General and distinguished officials of the Auditor General Commission as they have come to commence this historic engagement with the legislature. Let me state from the start that the House of Representatives assures you of its fullest cooperation and support throughout this system audit and review process. We consider your presence here as a milestone in strengthening public financial management and reinforcing accountability. This exercise marks the first time in post-war Liberia, and for sure, arguably, this is the first time in our nation's legislative history and the legislature is undergoing a system audit or review. For many years, such an intervention was spoken of, debated, and hoped for, but it is only now, under this leadership, that it is becoming a reality. For this, honorable colleagues, we are grateful for your support and your commitment to transparency.
Also speaking during the formal engagement with members of the legislature, Commissioner Gaswa Jackson said the audit reflects the GSE institutional mandate to ensure that all public funds, whether generated domestically or received from external partners, are properly accounted for. He explained that the scope of the audit goes beyond traditional financial checks, adding that it will focus on conducting a comprehensive system audit to evaluate internal controls, financial management systems, and governance processes of the legislature. I mean, there about Gaswa.
The launch of the Leaders in Teaching program is not simply that the start of a project.
I would like to begin by congratulating the Speaker for inviting the Office to exercise the mandate of the Office of the Auditor General to ensure that transparency and accountability is exercised for the use of public funds. As the Speaker indicated, this in the memory of the General Auditing Commission is the inaugural audit of the House of Representatives. The purpose of this audit is consistent with the mandate of the Office of the Auditor. As he indicated, the Office of the Auditor General is charged with the responsibility of auditing all public funds. Public funds, by simple definition, means all funds that are given to the government and people of Nigeria by stakeholders, all funds that are collected by the government of Nigeria, and all funds that are expended by the government of Nigeria. So the legislature is inclusive in that mandate when we are defining public funds. Now, we are going to perform a system audit. Why are we performing a system audit? We are performing a system audit because this is the first time an audit is being performed at the legislature. So our initial risk assessment and professional assumption is that the relevant financial management systems and controls, the relevant financial instruments that we should be assessing to perform a full-scale compliance audit or financial statement audit may not be available at the legislature. Now, I use the word carefully, may, because those instruments may also be available. So this exercise is intended to perform a comprehensive assessment of the governance and financial management systems of the legislature, identify all of those key risks, recommend practical recommendations to ensure that a full-scale system is put in place. Right after
He's the Auditor General of the General Auditing Commission, P. Gaswa Jackson. Earlier, you heard the voice of House Speaker Richie Coon. The Education Development Center, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and the MasterCard Foundation, has begun a 3-day discussion aimed at transforming, strengthening, and training of leaders in the secondary education sector. Speaking at the opening of the discussion, Education Minister Jasu Jala disclosed that the project entitled Leaders in Teaching Liberia is aimed to building the high-quality and sustainable education system that prepares Liberian youth with knowledge and skills needed for lifelong learning, employment, and adult life.
The launch of the Leaders in Teaching program is not simply that the start of a project. It is a clear declaration of our intent to transform the very core of secondary education. We are investing in those who stand at its center, our teachers and school leaders. Across Liberia, the story of education is shifting. We have successfully expanded access and stabilized classrooms, but we recognize a fundamental truth. Access without quality cannot sustain progress. The real test of our system is whether every student who enters our schools leaves equipped with the knowledge, skills, and confidence to thrive in an evolving world. This is the challenge that the Leaders in Teaching program helps us meet. This critical program, generously funded by the MasterCard Foundation and implemented by Education Development Center, alongside a network of dedicated Liberian institutions, arrives at a pivotal time. It is a strategic investment designed to strengthen the teacher recruitment, training, and motivation, elevate school leadership, and create clear pathways for our youth to learn, work, and innovate. Through this partnership, we will directly reach more than 9,000 teachers and 3,200 school leaders, indirectly impacting over 830,000 students, nearly the entire secondary school population. This is nationwide change. The model that has been designed by the Leaders in Teaching program is an answer to those questions and those challenges that we had and that solutions we wanted to derive. So thank you, MasterCard Foundation.
Also remarking at the project, that's the project director of Education Development Center, Amin Diu, said the project marks an important journey aimed at giving teachers and school administrators the necessary knowledge and skills for preparing Liberians for livelihood. The discussion brought together county education officers, heads of teacher training institutions, representatives of the Principals and School Overseer Association in Liberia.
Today marks the start of an exciting journey to strengthen secondary education and ensure young people across Liberia will have access to learning that inspires and includes and equips them on their journey toward a bright future. The Leaders in Teaching program aims to improve the quality of secondary level teaching and learning nationwide. Together, we will motivate and support teachers and school leaders to deliver inclusive, engaging, and relevant instruction that will prepare learners for the world that lies ahead. Our shared goal is to ensure that every learner can thrive, getting the skills and confidence to pursue meaningful futures in school, work, and life. Leaders in Teaching at Liberia is about impact at scale, strengthening teaching, leadership, and learning across schools and communities. The program will create opportunities for learners to develop work readiness and life skills, will expand pathways for out-of-school youth to re-engage in education. A core focus is inclusion and gender equity. We are working to ensure marginalized young women, learners with disabilities, those in underserved communities have equitable access to quality learning. As Liberia's young people prepare to enter a rapidly changing world, it is essential that they are equipped for jobs in emerging economies, such as green and blue economies, sectors that are vital to sustainable growth, cleaner energy, and resilient communities. By emphasizing STEM and other 21st century competencies, Leaders in Teaching Liberia supports the development of a generation ready to drive innovation and shape more sustainable and inclusive futures. This initiative includes close partnership with the Ministry of Education, Education Development Center, and an exceptional consortium of national and regional partners. Of course, this collaboration is made possible through the leadership and support provided by the MasterCard Foundation and their highly skilled teams. Youth organization brings deep expertise from teacher development and school leadership, youth engagement, and community mobilization.
She is the project director of Education Development Center, Amin Diu. Earlier, you heard the voice of Education Minister Dr. Jasu Jala. Well, if you just joining us, a reminder, you're listening to King's News, run a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories we follow in this afternoon. Former House Speaker Councillor Funati Kofa proposes 25 million United States dollars for vulnerable Liberian social safety net fund, demands cut in benefits, foreign travels reduction, and limited vehicle purchases for officials of government. About 140 government officials remain non-compliant with the asset declarations. Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission Executive Director Councillor Alexandra Zoe says the act is deliberate and undermines good governance and transparency. Former President George Weah demonstrates good health and fitness in viral gym exercise and video, with their supporters of ruling Unity Party speculations regarding his health status. Away from Liberia, passengers were forced to jump from carriages in a train crash that killed 15 people in eastern Ethiopia, a local official has told the BBC. A drone attack has hit an area near the international airport in Sudan's capital Khartoum, a day before it was set to resume domestic flights for the first time since the war broke out in 2023. We are taking another short break. When we come back, we'll continue with more voices. Ahead of the United Nations 80th anniversary, UN resident coordinator in Liberia, Madam Christine Umutomi, has reaffirmed the United Nations' continued commitment to supporting Liberia's development priorities. The UN resident coordinator highlighted both notable progress and ongoing challenges in Liberia's journey toward achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. She informed partners at MICAD press briefing on Tuesday about the notable achievements in reducing under 5 mortality, increasing access to clean water, and expanding school feeding programs, terming Liberia's SDG index score as moderate but with marked progress.
And Liberia will use it to amplify African voices, priorities, and solutions. I know there is a lot of work on promoting youth, women, peace, and security, but also promoting peace, security, and prosperity in general. We are proud of Liberia's contributions to peace building, climate action, youth empowerment, democratic governance, and so on. The recent elections in this country, and peaceful as they were, and the peaceful transfer of power is always being quoted as a good example, not only in the region, but also in Africa. So Liberia is not defined by its past wounds, but its present strength is what defines Liberia. So Liberia's index score of SDGs is moderate in progress, with notable achievements and reduce in under 5 mortality, some increase in clean water, expanding in school feeding programs, and so on. But we know that challenges remain in poverty reduction, gender equality, infrastructure, climate resilience, and so on for all of us to achieve the SDGs. This is a time of recommitment of the UN that we will continue to work together with Liberia to close the gaps and to build on the progress already made.
She at the same time acknowledged persistent development gaps, including poverty reduction, gender equality, infrastructure development, and climate resilience, reflecting on the ongoing cooperation between the United Nations and the government of Liberia. Madam Umutomi noted that the current cooperation framework centered around 4 key pillars: human development and essential services, sustainable economic development, peace and security, and good governance that is coming to an end this year. She further emphasized the importance of shaping a more inclusive and digital responsive multilateral system.
It's a privilege to stand before you today as this month we mark a historical milestone, 8 years of the United Nations and 8 years of Liberia partnership with the UN. We are privileged again that this year the main UN Day event on the 24th of October will be celebrated in Kakata, Magidi County. This is important because celebrations will be done with the people in the communities. The events that have been going on throughout the month are numerous, and I'll mention a few. Recently, some of you were at a media briefing that we did at the UN House. It was a media breakfast to speak more about this journey, 8 years of the UN. And then we had a children and the youth outreach at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where we had young people engage. What does it mean for them, the UN?
She's the UN resident coordinator in Liberia, Christine Yumotonin, just speaking. Several grade school students in PHP community and Lane Street areas are appealing to the national government through the Environmental Protection Agency to take urgent action to reduce environmental pollution threatening their safety and well-being. Speaking in an interview with King's Evan, the student, most of whom attended the Congorot Christian Foundation Academy, expressed deep frustration over what they describe as toxic pollution affecting both communities. They particularly pointed to the drainage along Lane Street, which they said produces bad odors and poses serious threat to residents and the overall health. Mariam.
InfoQuest commends His Excellency President Joseph Yuma Boakai for his courageous decision to veto the 11 bills recently passed by the National Legislature seeking to establish now 9 townships in Nimba County and 2 new districts in Nimba and Lofa counties. The President's action demonstrates an unwavering commitment to upholding the rule of law, administrative integrity, and the principles of Local Government Act of 2018, the cornerstone of Liberia's ongoing decentralization and governance reform process. In his communication to the House of Representatives, President Boakai correctly cited administrative and statutory deficiencies in the proposed bills. Specifically, Section 12.4.2 of the Local Government Act of 2018 sets clear and non-negotiable criteria for the establishment of new townships, including a minimum population threshold of 10,000, the availability of waste management, educational and health facilities, sports and recreation centers, cemetery grounds, transportation and communication systems, and functioning business and social services. Section 3.9 of the Act further mandates the demarcation and harmonization of boundaries before the creation of any new local government subdivision. Section 2.1.5.
Some students of the PHP community there speaking. Away from Liberia, passengers were forced to jump from carriages in train crash that killed 15 people in eastern Ethiopia, local officials has told the BBC. The train derailed on Monday night in the town of Shile before colliding with separate stationary train, local broadcaster TV reported. It is not clear as to how many people were injured, with reports ranging from 27 to 29. Photos published by local media showed several carriages overturned and others crushed. On that notice, I would like to go home this afternoon on this edition of King's Newsroom, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia. Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home, let's remind you of stories when following. Former House Speaker Councillor Funati Kofa proposes $25 million United States dollars for vulnerable Liberians Social Safety Net Fund, the immense cut in benefits, foreign travels reduction, and limited vehicle purchases for officials of government. About 140 government officials remain non-compliant with asset declarations. Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission Executive Director Councillor Alexandra Zoe says the act is deliberate and undermines good governance and transparency. Former President George Weah demonstrated good health and fitness in viral gym video exercising, rejects supporters of ruling United Party speculations regarding his health status. The way from Liberia, passengers were forced to jump from carriages in a train crash that killed 15 people in eastern Ethiopia, a local officials has told the BBC. A drone attack has hit the area near the international airport in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, a day before it was set to resume domestic flights for the first time since war broke out in 2023. These are stories to follow here this afternoon. Stephen Compton was here with the news bulletin while Marvin Var sat at controls and coordinated the sound. I would like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who helped in making this package. As always, my name is Newton Tukpa. Thanks for watching and listening. Good afternoon.